So let's talk about something a little more visual on a Wikipedia page. The info box. That's this area right over here on the right-hand side. Sometimes it looks a little different. These are, from what I understand, something that people write code for. So you have to have the right type of code to make these things happen. So I don't understand all that kind of stuff. I'll just show you what I do know. They're all a little bit different. Like I said, sometimes they have a border on them that's a slightly different color. Um, Sometimes they have a little, like a blue line around the outside, much more visual. It depends. Each different language also has their own rules for info boxes. If you go over here on the left-hand side of James Randi's page, you can see it's been written, translated in many different languages. Keep in mind that each of these languages is written in the language of the language. So here's Espanol instead of the word Spanish. Here's Frances instead of French, and so on. Magnar, that's Hungarian. This is from the Netherlands, which would be Dutch, Polish, Portuguese, Romanian, Russian, different. Here's Turkey. So if you click on some of these, you'll see that the info box looks a little different. Here it is in Hungarian. See how it has a dark blue and it has a different kind of line. So different code has been written for different languages. Let's see if there's one more that maybe we could look at really quick. How about, how does it look in, Turkish? Okay, there's nothing in Turkish. There you go. There's no, they haven't added it on this one. There are some languages, and I know there's one for sure, and I can't remember if it is Swiss or which language it was, but there's one language they don't use info boxes at all. Can't remember which one it is. This one looks pretty familiar, similar to the English page. So let's look at the code and get an idea of how this works. Let's go up here to the James Randi Wikipedia page. Let's look at edit. And what they're using for the James Randi page is info box person. See how that says info box person right here? Oopsies. Info box person highlighted. Come on now, you can do it. You can do it. Come on, mouse. You can do it. There you go. Info box person. Okay, so that's the Wikipedia page. That's the info box they're using for the James Randi page. And you can see these little squiggly brackets here and little squiggly brackets here. So this is just kind of like any hyperlink where it's got the open brackets, and then at the bottom it has the closed brackets. Same that you see on when we're hyperlinking. See how they have the open brackets and the closed brackets. Then you see, like on a citation, see how it has the little arrow right there? And then when the citation is ended, it has the close arrows. See? So that's pretty common in Wikipedia writing, is that there's always an open bracket of some sort and a closed bracket, and everything in between is the content. So the info box for James Randi is all this that I've just highlighted. Notice that some of this doesn't have any, notice that some aren't filled out. So you don't have to fill out every single little space on here. It's just what you can fill out. I don't believe you can change any of this writing or order or anything like that, because if you do, then the code doesn't work correctly. At least that's my understanding. I've never been able to get it to change. Now, info box person is the most commonly used one for Wikipedia editing of a person, but there's all other kinds. Now, here's a list of info boxes. I think I gave this to you on training. If not, then you can look for it here, bookmark it if you think you'd like to. This is a list of a ton of different templates that you can use. And let's look this over and see. Like here's info boxes for different kinds of books. Here's comic books, fictional characters. Here's D&D deities. Here's Buffyverse characters. Let's just click on it and see what it looks like. I have no idea. There's 52 of them. Did anybody ever say that Wikipedia is a bit of a nerd universe, huh? Right? Okay, let's see. So I guess this is what the info box would look like for a person from the Buffyverse character. It has abilities, roles, groups, portrayer, creator. Okay. I don't think you'll be doing that much of that in GSoW. But there's all kinds of stuff. Film, games, language, what else? Ballet, anthems, song list, music festivals, and then they have them for people as well. But you can see, if you look at this little mark over here, that I'm not getting very far in this. There's an awful lot. So if you really wanted to, you could try to find an info box for the particular type of Wikipedia page you're working on. But for the most part, we use InfoBox person when we're writing a person's page. But there is an InfoBox scientist, there's an InfoBox author, there's an InfoBox magician, I believe. They're out there. And then it would have, instead of having, just this kind of generic stuff, birth, death, salary, spouse, ethnicity, you could add a signature if you've got that uploaded, education. You could have, like, let's say a magician might have uh, what they're known for as far as the magic that they do or the style of magic. It might have where they trained or who they trained under. I know that there's a scientist or an academic info box, and I think it has your who were your advisors and your students that were notable that came, learned from you, that kind of thing. So that's kind of interesting. Let's look over here. Now, let's say you don't have a Wikipedia info box for the character or the person that you're writing for. Let's say that you don't want to go through that info box craziness and try to find one over here. Well, this is how Susan learned to edit. And what I do is I go to a place that it's done correctly, and then I copy it, and then I just alter it to be the way I want it to be. So for example, let's say I was working on a Wikipedia page for a person or a magician like James Randi, and he didn't have a info box. Well, I might go to a peer. So I went to, let's go to David Copperfield, and you can see David Copperfield has a Wikipedia page as well, and he has an info box too. So what I would probably do is go over here to edit and look and see what kind of info box was used for David Copperfield. And then it's also info box person. So this internet makes it so, my internet's really fast too. I don't know what the deal is. Let's try another magician, Harry, who obviously has a Wikipedia page. And here is his info box. And if I click on edit, let's see what it says. I don't know. Might be. Okay, it's also info box person. Okay. Well, I thought there was a magician's info box, and there may be one somewhere. I just am not coming across it at the moment. All right. So you can have info boxes for all kinds of things, as we were looking at. DLP. Let's see how badly I can misspell Philadelphia experiment. Well, that was pretty bad. And this is on video. Just bear with Susan. Here, let's do New Mexico. So this is a Wikipedia page that was just published today, I believe. And this is a Wikipedia page for a book that was written by Ben Bradford. And you can see it has language, publisher, publication date, pages, ISBN, media type. So this would be something that would be, obviously you couldn't use info box person. So let's see what April used, because that's the person who wrote it. So there's an info box for books. See? I have another idea. Let's look at point of inquiry. Wikipedia page. And it has a whole different kind of look to their podcast, to their info box. And let's look at that. And let's see. There's an info box podcast. Who knew? So if you're trying to create a new page and you're kind of perplexed to how you should go about doing that, instead of going to this kind of page where it's just list of info boxes, what I would do is just probably go to Appear, copy what they have from here to here, copy it, paste it into the area that you're going to be working on, and then just go through and clean all this out and put in the information that is appropriate to the page you're in. Okay? Very interesting, I'm sure. But a really strong info box is really important to fill it out as much as you possibly can, because again, just like the lead, a lot of people are only looking at this little box here and to get the information that they need to have. You know, who's the host of this podcast and when did that start? And that's probably all they're going to look at. So it's good to have the nice, beautiful looking info box with a nice photo and it's filled in as much as possible. Okay, great. Thanks.